The ongoing saga surrounding one of the NFL's most talked-about cornerbacks is heating up, and as expected, it's becoming a major talking point across the league. We're diving into rumors of a potential trade, rising tensions between players, and even a confirmed pre-draft visit with a team based in Texas. All signs that something significant might be brewing. And what's even more interesting is that many insiders had already started to hint at a shift in this player's situation long before this latest round of news broke. Once again, it looks like one particular insider was ahead of the curve. Early this morning, a tweet lit up the timeline, suggesting that both the team and the player are now open to exploring trade possibilities. According to that post, it wouldn't be a shock if we see this veteran suit up for a different team sooner rather than later. This entire situation gained traction after that same insider dropped a bold statement indicating a major trade was in the works. All signs pointed directly at this cornerback. And while he may not be the same elite lockdown defender he once was during his peak years on the West Coast, when he was widely regarded as one of the league's top defensive players, he still brings a ton of value to any team. He can shut down a section of the field, force turnovers, and bring leadership to a defense that's missing that final piece. The real complication in this case isn't the player's skill or effort, it's the numbers on his contract. If his current team chooses to move him before a specific deadline, they're looking at a substantial hit, around $12.5 million in dead cap space. That's no small number, but at the same time, it could save them a considerable amount in real dollars, since the team acquiring him would be responsible for over $21 million in cash. It's one of those tricky front office decisions where cap space and real cash don't always align. And the bonus option on the table this year adds another layer of complexity, because while it doesn't help clear cap room, it does reduce actual spending. From the perspective of a team looking to bring him in, they'd only be on the hook for about $9 million against the cap in year one. That figure could rise somewhere between 16 to over 18 million, depending on how things are structured. And if the team decides to part ways later, they'd still be looking at a $20 million price tag in that season alone. So, the real question becomes, are you willing to invest nearly $10 million right away and close to $20 in the following year for a player who's turning 31 next season? There's no doubt this guy still produces. He makes plays, collects interceptions, and anchors one side of the field like few others can. But is it worth the financial gymnastics? That's what front offices are now debating. And honestly, the cost to actually make the trade might not even be that high. When he was last traded, the package involved a third-round pick and a backup tight end. If you think about it, that's a bargain for a player of his caliber, even if he's not quite at his peak anymore. So, if the current team is open to helping him find a new home, and if another franchise can absorb the cap hit, this could end up being one of the better value trades we see this offseason. What makes this even more painful for the team is that they just recently handed him a new deal. And looking back, that decision might not have been the smartest financial move. If they hadn't extended him when they did, his cap number would be lower, and they'd have more flexibility to explore a trade without absorbing such a massive hit. That extension may have come from a place of loyalty or optimism about his long-term contribution, but now it's become a barrier to making a clean break. If they played it differently, this trade situation could have been much easier to manage, and it might have even been anticipated during the offseason. For those who forgot, that previous trade, the one that sent him from his last team, wasn't exactly blockbuster level in terms of assets. A third-rounder and a depth piece at tight end. Yet today, we're talking about someone who still demands over $20 million in cash and carries enough name recognition to shake up a fan base. He might be on the back half of his career, but he's far from washed. And depending on how the numbers are structured, this could be a high-reward move for a team willing to roll the dice. Now, a pinned comment in that original post sparked another layer of the conversation. Would you trade for him? And more importantly, why or why not? That's what fans are weighing in on. And if we look specifically at this team in Texas that's been linked to him, the case is even stronger. This is a team that desperately needs help at cornerback, and they actually have the cap space to make something happen. We're talking about a franchise with roughly $21 million available, while the cap impact would be under 10. In terms of pure mechanics, it's doable. The only thing holding it back is the long-term commitment and that uncomfortable conversation about dead money and future flexibility. But here's the interesting part. The way this whole thing is being handled feels collaborative. The player and the team aren't publicly feuding. It's not one of those messy holdout dramas. It seems like both sides are trying to figure out the best path forward, and that usually means a deal is somewhere on the horizon. Remember, this isn't his first time on the trade block. The last time around, he didn't exactly have full control, but this time, it feels like he might have more of a say. And there's even some history that could be influencing things. Apparently, there was a time when this Texas-based team showed strong interest in him during the draft process. Some even said they were close to selecting him, but ultimately went another direction. That decision might have left a bad taste in his mouth. Maybe he's still holding on to that, maybe not. But that kind of backstory always adds some extra emotion to the negotiations. So, we have to ask ourselves, why not make the move? The financial commitment isn't outlandish compared to what other top defenders earn. The cap impact is manageable, and the player fills a glaring need. From a football perspective, it makes perfect sense. The only real roadblock is whether the team is willing to eat some of that future money and how much the player wants to be part of that particular environment. And that's just the first layer of the story. Switching gears now, let's talk about the draft implications tied to this situation. With this cornerback potentially on the move, the focus shifts to how teams might adjust their draft strategies, especially those who could either miss out on him or end up acquiring him. And right now, there's been a lot of chatter about one team leaning heavily toward a wide receiver in the first round. There were two names being debated, both considered elite prospects, and while there was some back and forth among scouts, it seems like one of them is pulled ahead as the likely pick. Now, this is where things get interesting. This first receiver is known for his sharp route running, his ability to separate early, and his explosiveness after the catch. He's the type of guy who can contribute right away and become a go-to weapon for any quarterback. And even though the second option might be faster in terms of straight-line speed, he hasn't shown the same level of consistency or production. So what it comes down to is, do you value polish and impact today, or do you gamble on raw speed and upside? From the way insiders are talking, it sounds like this team is prioritizing the more refined player. Someone who fits their offensive scheme and can make plays across multiple levels of the field. He's not just another guy with a good 40 time. He's a technician. That's the type of receiver that makes quarterbacks look good and offensive coordinators sleep easier at night. But don't count out the second guy completely. He's a burner, and there are plenty of teams that value that kind of vertical threat, especially in today's game. Both of them have legit NFL traits, so it's really about fit and preference. And here's where the debate really kicks in. Some analysts argue that the second receiver actually fits better in this team's offense. He stretches the field, he forces safeties to backpedal, and he opens up space underneath. So even if he's not as complete right now, he changes the geometry of a defense just by being on the field. That alone could be game-changing. But again, production matters. And when you line up the tape, the first guy simply made more plays. This is the kind of decision that can shape a franchise for years, especially when you're talking about pairing a young receiver with a developing quarterback. You want chemistry, you want reliability, and above all, you want someone who's going to be on the field making a difference from week one. That's why this pick feels so crucial, not just for this season, but for setting the tone long term. And speaking of setting the tone, let's shift to defense for a moment. There's been buzz around a pre-draft visit involving a highly touted defensive tackle, a true interior disruptor who's been climbing up boards late in the process. This guy might not have the flashiest stats in the class, but when you turn on the film, he jumps off the screen. He wins with leverage, he's got long arms, and his ability to pressure the quarterback from the inside is rare. At nearly 6'4" and 305 pounds, this dude isn't just a space eater, he's a playmaker. He even returned an interception for a touchdown in a bowl game, which is wild for a player his size. That tells you a lot about his instincts and athleticism. And then there was his performance at the All-Star event, flat-out dominant. He was one of the top standouts, and scouts took notice. Even though he's a bit older for a prospect, he turns 25 in August. His stock is still rising. What's keeping him from being a first-round lock is mostly the lack of gaudy production during his college career. He didn't rack up sacks like some others, and he played a smaller program, so the competition wasn't always top tier. But those flashes, they're legit. He's exactly the type of guy who could be taken early in the second round by a smart team that knows how to develop defensive line talent. And let's not ignore the value of a three-down defensive tackle. Those guys aren't easy to find. Most interior linemen are either early down run stuffers or pass rush specialists. But this guy, he can stay on the field in every situation, which makes him incredibly valuable. Teams are taking notice, and his draft visit confirms the interest is real. So, between the potential trade of a star cornerback and the strategic decisions looming in the draft, especially at wide receiver and defensive tackle, we're heading into one of the most pivotal stretches of the offseason. Every move from here on out is about setting the foundation. Whether it's taking a calculated risk on a veteran or making the right pick on a rookie, franchises are looking to lock in their identity heading into next season. Keep your eyes on this cornerback situation. It's not over yet. And as we get closer to draft day, don't be surprised if more teams start making calls, especially those that missed out in free agency or feel like they're just one piece away. This is the kind of player who can still change games, still command respect, and still make quarterbacks think twice before throwing his way. The only question left is, who's willing to make the move? But before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Dallas Cowboys. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. In a move that has set the NFL world ablaze, rumors are swirling that the Dallas Cowboys are making a push to acquire none other than Jalen Hurts. This potential move has sparked fierce debate, with fans and analysts alike questioning how such a major shift would shake up the NFC landscape. Hurts, who has solidified himself as one of the league's most dynamic quarterbacks, led the Philadelphia Eagles to a Super Bowl appearance just a year ago. And now, the Cowboys are reportedly willing to do whatever it takes to bring him to Dallas. The buzz surrounding this deal began when whispers surfaced about the Cowboys' growing dissatisfaction with Dak Prescott's performance, particularly in high-stakes moments. Despite Prescott's consistency, his inability to push the Cowboys past the divisional round in recent seasons has left the door open for a more electrifying quarterback to take the reins. Hurts, fresh off a Pro Bowl and second-team All-Pro season in 2023, seems to be the perfect candidate. His leadership, combined with his ability to both pass and run, would immediately make Dallas one of the most potent teams in the NFC. But the logistics of such a trade are anything but simple. Hurts signed a record-breaking $255 million extension with the Eagles in 2023, making him the highest-paid player in NFL history at the time, until Lamar Jackson's contract overshadowed his. The deal includes a no-trade clause, a unique provision in Eagles history. For Dallas to land Hurts, they would not only have to navigate a potentially complicated negotiation with the Eagles, but also address Hurts' guaranteed $180 million and the long-term implications of acquiring such a star. Adding fuel to the fire is Hurts' undeniable skill set, which has seen him break records left and right. His ability to throw for over 300 yards and rush for touchdowns with ease has made him a nightmare for defenses across the league. In fact, just last season, Hurts became the first quarterback in NFL history to rush for over 10 touchdowns in 3 consecutive seasons, and he holds the record for the most rushing touchdowns in a single season by a quarterback. His potential fit in the Cowboys' high-powered offense, particularly with the weapons at his disposal, is a tantalizing prospect. With all eyes now on the Cowboys' front office, the question remains, will they pull the trigger on a trade that could shift the balance of power in the NFC? Or will the Eagles continue to build around their star quarterback, keeping him away from their biggest rivals? As the rumor mill spins, one thing is for sure, Jalen Hurts in a Cowboys uniform would forever alter the future of the NFC. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Dallas Cowboys, please subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. We always look forward to your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.